One company doing some pretty unique things right now in the e-bike space is a company called Goat Powered Bikes. That's a pretty weird name, but I guess it's fitting because their bikes are also pretty unconventional. For example, they have this 96-volt electric dirt bike they offer. It's pushing 15 kilowatts of power, and the price tag in comparison to Suron, Teleria really isn't that crazy. But the bike I want to talk about today is this bike, the Mini Goat. Now, in terms of classification, this is technically a regular e-bike, but you can see that the bike has some heavy modifications to it that I think really make it pretty unique. Now, starting with the design, you can see they took this kind of like industrial approach to this bike, and it had me thinking that the ergonomics must not really be that good. After all, it really doesn't look like a regular bike. But then I saw they do offer like an extended seat. So the whole top of the bike can be a seat, allowing you to adjust your riding position. And this is something I really like. I can say from experience that long seats are the way to go. And then the other unique design approach to this bike is the size. As indicated in the name, this is a smaller bike, mostly thanks to the wheels. These almost look like scooter wheels. And the reason why they did this is because the wheels of a bike are actually one of the bigger physical components to them. So by simply opting for a smaller wheel, they can make the bike much more compact overall. And I do think this is an excellent move. It does have the downside of being less capable in off-roading conditions, but in exchange for that you get a more compact bike and also a better gear ratio. The bike utilizes a hub motor, which is inside the rear wheel. These are fantastic in terms of maintenance. They have no transmission, so there's very few moving parts. But because there's no transmission, there's no way to lower the gear ratio and give the bike more torque, aside from just shrinking the wheel. So essentially, because this bike has super tiny wheels, the gear ratio is lower, and thus this bike has a little bit more torque than you might expect for a hub motor bike. And in terms of the power, this is rated for 5.3 kilowatts with a 72-volt stock battery. And they say that gives this bike a top speed of around 50 miles per hour, which just so happens to be almost identical to this bike. Although hub motors tend to be a little bit more efficient than mid-drive motors. So this bike with its equivalent 72-volt 30 amp hour battery should eke out a little bit more range than this bike. Now, if you do need more range, there are two other battery capacity options to choose from. You have the stock 30 amp hours, 40 amp hours, or 50 amp hours. And there's only a $250 price increase between each version, which I think is extremely reasonable. And if you opt for the 50 amp hour version for $3,500, you should have a bike that can both go 50 miles per hour and eke out 50 miles of range. So hopefully you guys can see now why I think this bike is a real diamond in the rough. In a lot of ways, it's similar to the bike I have here, but it makes a different set of trade-offs. So both of these bikes are affordable, high-performance, 72-volt bikes, but this one is a little bit less efficient. It's geared for off-road riding. And this one from Goat Powers is more compact, designed for the street, with an option for a pretty significant amount of range. And you also can't forget about the small details that do add up and deliver real value, like the fenders and the included blinkers, something I am sorely missing on this bike. I guess I'll go ahead and leave a link to this bike below the video, but let us know your thoughts on it in the comments below. I am not affiliated with this company. I just came across the bike and truly found it to be a very unique and compelling package. But I will note that this company does appear to be smaller and less established than other name brands out there. So that's definitely a little bit of a negative for a bike like this. But again, let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and I hope you guys enjoyed. Peace.